Well, I am down at the wonderful Garland Nursery, and I am here with Ryan. And
Hello.
Ryan, you've given classes on how to make tea and which plants we use for that purpose. So we thought it'd be great to have a conversation with you about those plants. And I have to say right off the bat, I've always heard it was Camellia sinensis. That's what everybody makes tea from, which is true, but you have some other options as well.
Of course, yeah. If it's truly a tea, it's going to be from the Camellia sinensis or the Camellia sinensis assamica, which is a larger leafed, warmer variety of the Camellia sinensis. But the Camellia sinensis is the one we'll do well here in the valley.
So we're going to cover some other ones that actually make tea, but let's start with the one that so many people do know of. Tell me about this and how it lives, first of all. How do you grow it in your own garden?
Well, they grow, it's real similar to all the ornamental camellias you see growing around town. They're going to like slightly acidic soil.
Right.
And they do need a fair amount of sun, but protection from the afternoon shade is ideal for it.
So Ryan, what part of the camellia would you use for tea?
For camellias, you want to get the spring flush, and the highest quality is the first flush, and it would be the top two leaves and the bud. You would take that off of each flush, like here's another flush over here. So you would pinch that off, 2 leaves and a bud. And then that also encourages the plant to produce new growth, so
Right.
you'll get a second flush in about 7 to 15 days. And then you take that one. The highest quality is always your first picking, though.
That
So-
is highest quality, the most flavor? Is that what you mean, that kind of
Yeah, the most
intensity?
flavors,
Okay.
and it's just what's been prized for thousands of years is the first flush picking.
And then you, at this display, this great display here at Garland, you have Grow Your Own Tea, but there are so many plants here, so let's go over a few of them at least.
Okay.
Pick out the ones that you love and tell me the same process. How do you keep them in the garden? How do you plant them? And then when do you pick and what do you use for the tea?
Okay, well, we could go to the Rugosa next. And roses are used in teas for ages. The one you want to use for rose hips, which has like the vitamin C and that nice
Right,
tart flavor,
right.
is the Rosa rugosa because it forms really nice hips.
And does that mean you shouldn't use other hips, or it's just this one we know over time is
You
great
can use
for?
any of the hips. It's just this one will form the biggest and most flavorful of the hips for.
Which then is completely contrary to the camellia, because this is the spring growth of leaves, but then
Yeah, that's the older part. Yeah, you use different parts from different plants at different times. So.
And I saw you looking at this, which is one of the plants I love. This also is one that will make tea.
It is, yeah. You can make tea out of almost anything that's
Really?
not toxic, actually.
And how
But,
would that be in the garden, though? Is anything special in the planting, or is it just what it
Most
does?
of the herbs are going to be sun lovers, and they're going to want some decent drainage. You want to group your herbs together and with similar growing habits, like rosemary and lavender do well together
Right.
because they both like really good draining soil.
And what is this plant?
This is a lemon verbena. It'll impart a nice, strong lemony flavor to any tea. And you can mix this with your other herbals, or you can mix them with black teas as well.
Perfect.
If you wanted to add a little lemon flavor to a black tea, lemon verbena would be an excellent choice. But this one, just full sun, a nice soil with compost to break up the clay that most people have here in the valley.
Tell me that the tea will smell at least as good as the leaves.
It will indeed, yeah. With this one, you just take the leaves off, and then you can dry them in a food dehydrator or just kind of dry them out on a counter. If anything ever starts to mold, though, you want to toss that out.
Oh, okay.
And start over again.
And would that be because it's not dry enough, so the mold takes over? I mean, what's...
It could be, yeah. You want if the air around it's too humid, then that can cause molding. If you're drying outside, like if you tie it up and hang it and you dry it outside, which is my preferred method, you'll want to bring it in at night so it doesn't get dew on it.
That would make sense.
And then just hang it back outside the second day. It usually takes about 2 days on a warm day.
So tell me about this one, Ryan.
This one is, many people already have this in their gardens. It's grown highly as an ornamental. It's Echinacea. And not only is it a beautiful plant, but it's been used for thousands of years in folk remedies. It's an immune booster. And on this one, you can use the leaves, some of the flower, the petals, and then also in the fall, you can use the root,
Wow.
which has the most health benefits because when it goes dormant in the fall, winter, it sends all of its nutrients down
Right,
to the root
right.
to store over the winter. So if you're digging up those roots, you're getting the biggest.
That would be the time. So if you're going to use the leaves and stuff, that can
Yeah.
be spring. But if you want to
Use
use
the
the roots
leaves,
later,
leave
perfect.
enough for the plant to continue
Sure,
growing,
sure.
obviously, but you can use the leaves off and on throughout the growing season. And then when it starts to go dormant, you can dry the roots and make a tea out of that that's more potent than a spring.
Wonderful.
Gathering.
Well, there you have it. Now, if you love tea, you love gardening, and you want to do both together, you can always come down here to Garland's. You can find the plants here, and then, you know, he does work here, so you can even look him up and get more information on how you can make your own tea in your own garden. Ryan, what a pleasure, my friend.
Thank you very much. Thank you.